We have got to talk about this submarine. I know this is completely out of our wheelhouse of stuff we normally talk about, but it's all anyone is talking about, which I have a problem with. I'm going to talk about that. I'm going to talk about the talking about. This fucking submarine, this Logitech Dreamcast controller that runs on AAA batteries. Okay, when this story first broke, I couldn't take my eyes off it because, as I said this on Instagram, my fear of deep water, it transcends fear. It is something beyond fear. It's something beyond terror. It's in a whole, it's in a whole different realm. I feel like this about, don't say their name. It's the bugs. Don't say it out loud. They can hear you. You will summon them because they come from hell. Okay. Oh God. Now I'm thinking about them. I'm thinking about the deep water. And I've been thinking so much about this because and a lot of you guys thinking about the concept of risk versus reward and what is worth risking your life for. And not just risking your life, because listen, we all risk our life when we get in a car. We risk our life when we have sex with people or like touch our phones, take our phones into the bathroom and then eat a snack. Like there's germs. Like we risk our lives all the time, but those are sort of like implicit risk, like day-to-day risk that perhaps we've just become more comfortable with. And then there's risks that seem like this submarine thing that you're just like, bro, nothing is worth that. But to some people, clearly it is. And it just kind of makes you meditate on the concept of like, what risks are you taking that other people are like, oh, but you're like, this is completely worth it. And on its surface, sorry, that was an ocean pun. I didn't mean that. On its surface, we think, well, nothing. I'm not a risk taker. Because I think that about myself. I'm not a risk taker. Really? I left corporate America to become a YouTuber. It's like running off to join the circus. I moved to Montana and I didn't know anybody. You know, I fly all the time. For some people, planes are terrifying. I go to foreign countries where I don't speak the language and I don't know anybody. So maybe I'm more risky than I seem. And maybe you are too. But we're going to talk about this. We're going to talk about what's going on. And of course, we're going to talk about our generation's greatest philosopher, Cardi B, and her thoughts on this because, I don't know, there is just so much to dissect here. We're going to get into it. But before we do, I want to remind you guys to join the Shallontrage. It's our community on the internet. You get 5 bonus videos a week plus group chats with me and access to all the bonus content we've done. The Appy Endings online dating course, which will take you A to Z through everything you need to do to find love, what to put in your profile, how to spot a fuckboy, how to act on a date. So if you want that info, it's amazing. We've got Evil Week, Shallentine's Day, the Sexy Session hookup tutorials. Mwah, they're so good. And we're also gonna have a new course coming out soon on how to make friends. I'm really, really excited for this because it's truly the #1 question I get. But go ahead and click down below. It's just a great way to meet friends and meet new people. So if you are in a risky season of your life, you're moving, you're breaking up with someone, you're moving out, you're moving in, and you feel kind of like you need a community, like you need an anchor. There's going to be a lot of nautical terms. I'm not doing this on purpose. I'm not doing this on purpose. If you need some sort of an anchor, we got you. There's so many girls and guys to connect with. It's great. So yeah, click the link down below. Okay, geez Louise, this thing, oh brother. First of all, let me say that this same week, a migrant boat off the Canary Islands capsized. More than 30 people died. 160 people went into the water. 30 people are feared dead, and it was a little dinghy. What is this? What is this? These are people desperately clinging to some like floating raft, trying to get to Europe to live a better life. Why isn't that the #1 news story? Why am I not doing a video on that specifically? This pisses me off because these people aren't like white millionaires. I mean, there's some Pakistani millionaires on this Titanic, but they're not billionaires. They're just poor people, and poor people get lost in the shuffle, and it makes me fucking crazy. And also, like, I'm sorry, where is the United States Navy pulling up to help these people? Where is the wealth in the eyes of the world mobilizing to save children who are in the ocean trying against all odds to get to a life of freedom and comfort and stability? things that we all want, the things that Americans take for granted. And not just Americans, European, you know? Spanish officials said on Wednesday that the bodies of a child and a man had been recovered, and a Moroccan patrol boat had previously rescued 24 people on a dinghy that was sinking. Migration-focused organizations said 59 people had been on the vessel and at least 30 were missing. And they criticized Spain and Morocco for not intervening earlier. Canary Island officials said on Thursday that during the night, emergency services helped 114 people into 2 boats. 53 people were taken to someplace. 61, including a baby, were taken, and his mother taken to a hospital. In 2022, at least 559 people, 22 of them children, died in an attempt to reach the Canary Island from sub-Saharan Africa. This is really sad. This is really sad. These people were willing to risk their lives to get a better life. And then you look at these people in the submarine, you're like, what did you risk this for? I think that that's what's so fascinating about it, is how senseless this was. Like, none of you needed to be down there. And you wanted to go down there to see a wreck. We've been done seeing it. We've seen it. It was in a movie like 30 years ago. Like, that, the Titanic wreck has been, I think, 4D mapped. I don't even understand what 4D means. Does that mean you can have sex with it? Is that the 4th D, like the D? I don't know. I don't fuck with shipwrecks. I don't fuck with 3D. I want 2D and that's it. But like, there's been so much, like, what are you gonna see down there? But listen. We all have something, I think, that captures our imagination, our fascination. What is it for you? Tell me in the comments. For me, it's ancient Rome. You guys know. If there was a possibility to get in a time machine to go back to ancient Rome, I don't know. I would really consider that. It would kind of depend on whether or not I would throw up. I really don't like throwing up. For some people, it's space. I would never go into space. Here's a fact for you. Do you know, I learned this at space camp when I was 8, that astronauts have to swallow their toothpaste. They brush their teeth and then they swallow it. I was like 8 when I heard that, because I was like, I'm going to be an astronaut. I called my mom. I was like, come and pick me up. These people are out of their minds. Couldn't handle it. I was like, that's the end of my space dream. You know, I would never go to space. Never. But you can see the Earth. I can see the Earth in Google. Like, I can see it, you know, like, I got it. I'm good. But for some people, that's a totally acceptable risk. For some people, water skiing is like, absolutely not. You won't get me in a lake with a gun to my head. I don't like deep water, and I especially don't fuck with fresh water, because anything can grow in fresh water. What's down there? Catfish? You don't fuck with catfish. You do. They can eat a human whole. They can. Don't eat catfish either. They're disgusting. So, it brings up the concept of risk and reward and what's worth it. And I was looking into this, and I was looking into the sort of pathology of people who take a lot of risks. And we talk a lot about sociopaths here. I'm not a doctor, but I am literate, and I can read a lot of studies, and I can read a lot of stuff that doctors have written. And what really takes us between sociopath and psychopath is twofold. Sociopaths can be born, but they can also be made. They can also be made through trauma. People just like kind of disassociate. That happens a lot. You see a lot of criminals, because they've had a traumatic past. Not that that's a past, but I just think it's interesting. Psychopaths are very, very often born. Overwhelmingly, they're born. Or if they are made, it has to do with a head injury, which is really interesting. Like many, many serial killers like John Wayne Gacy have head injuries that somehow affected the part of their brain related to risk-taking and empathy. It's so interesting. I love it. But that is another huge distinction between a sociopath and a psychopath, is risk-taking. That's why you hear like, oh, CEOs there's a higher per capita amount of psychopaths in CEO positions. Yeah, because they're risk takers. Now, they'll take chances with other people's health and safety and money, but they'll also do it themselves. So it's interesting when you kind of look at the people who might be on this boat. And listen, I am not trying to trash people who died the most horrible death I can possibly imagine. But it is interesting to wonder, like, was this a boat full of psychopaths? Well, I am perhaps trying to trash one person in particular, and it's that dude Stockton Rush. Great name. He's like the mastermind of all this. He's the CEO and the pilot. My friend and I were like, because she's just as fascinated with this. She's like, why is he the CEO and the pilot? When like, you know, the Concorde jet was created, did you have the CEO flying it? No, you hired a professional pilot. And I was like, yeah, exactly. Did the Pfizer CEO get the vaccine? Also no. I watched this news program. It was like CBS This Morning, like a weekend thing from, what was it, last year, a few years ago, some fairly recent. And it was about a reporter, and he was going to go down in this Titanic expedition. And they interviewed this guy, Stockton Rush. And this man, everybody should watch this. I'll actually put the link down in the bio. It's on YouTube. I wouldn't get into a minivan with this dude. He had no idea what he was talking about. And he was, you know, there's the whole thing that the controller was from Amazon. He was proud of that. It's like, oh, this beam here, that's from Camping World. And the reporter's like, is this a little like MacGyvered together, like Camping World, Amazon? And he's like, no, I mean, the important parts are like NASA level, like the steel reinforced, I don't know, knowing what we know now, it kind of seems like the controller was important. And this whole thing was like Bush League technology. I heard about this and I was like, fuck, man, this is like, I'm sure, Elon Musk is like weighing in on this. This is SpaceX technology. No, it isn't. No, it isn't. And I think that's what's so like doubly horrifying about this. It's like, it's one thing to take a risk on a SpaceX ship, on a Blue Origin rocket, where it's like, it's the biggest, brightest minds in the world coming together with the best resources, and still, yikes. And then you listen to this person and he's like, it's Amazon, AAA batteries, doo-doo-doo. And you're like, what? Oh, this didn't seem worth it to begin with. And then when you think of like how janky this thing is, I mean, oh my God, it just seems so tragic, so incredibly avoidable. Man, what do you think? I mean, none of these people deserved this outcome. None of these people deserved this outcome, you know? Like I said, we take risks all the time. Oh, you never had a few drinks and driven? I bet you have. Have you done blow? I've done a lot. You know, like, you know, nobody here, and please in the comments, no one here is here to play God and condemn people and you deserve to die. And please don't think that that's what I'm saying. I'm more looking at this from the psychology standpoint of what in the fuck motivates someone to get in one of these goddamn tubes. Like, I just can't get my head around it. Cardi B, let's shift gears to a different psychological profile. I love Cardi B. I love her messy ass because I just love her. So she had a real issue with the stepson of the billionaire Hamish Harding. I think that's his name. He's down there. I can't even think about it. It's so awful. Yeah, this dude, his like tweet about it was very odd. It was like, my stepfather Hamish is down there. Thoughts and prayers to the rescue mission. Thoughts and prayers? Like, I mean, I cannot imagine the feeling of helplessness that the loved ones of these people. I dated a guy once, and this was a great time in my life. He had to do 2 days in jail for a DUI, and we were dating at the time. I know. I was beside myself. I was crawling out of my skin, worried about him, because I couldn't contact him. I didn't know what was going on in there. Is he okay? And he's like, it's actually very relaxing. I read 2 books. I'm like, well, this was a hell on earth for me. I cannot imagine if somebody I loved was sinking to the bottom of the Marianas Trench or wherever they are. Like, it was such a weird, like, disconnected tweet. And then he shows up at a Blink-182 concert, posting about it. It's not like someone followed him there. He posted about it. Oh, this is great. And then he's flirting with an OnlyFans model. And Cardi B was like, y'all motherfuckers shaking y'all dicks at a Blink-182 concert for clout. You should be home by the phone. Hello, is there any update on my father? Like, she just went ballistic. And Cardi, I love you. I love you. It's like, people are saying, what is he supposed to be doing? Looking for himself, sitting at home? Yes, that's what he's supposed to be doing. And I'm like, I couldn't agree with you more, Cardi. That's exactly what. And people trotted out the same old chestnut, the same old thing. Everyone grieves in their own way. Honestly, I don't believe that. I think healthy people with a healthy connection to someone kind of all grieve in the same way. They're overcome, they're crying, they're shocked. Unhealthy people, or people with not a healthy attachment to this person, this thing, grieve in all different ways. I think it's obvious this boy has a very thorny relationship with his stepfather. He's not a boy, he's a man. He's an adult grown man. He's not like 12. And people are like, damn, he's not reacting well. Like, he's an adult. I am always very sus about people who grieve or react to things in atypical ways. Because listen, so what do we know about a crisis response, right? The F3 response: fight, flight, freeze. Okay? Fight, flight, freeze. An example of fight in this situation, if your stepdad was down there, is we're mobilizing the army. I'm calling the prime minister. We're getting Elon in the case. Rah, rah, rah. Like you're a doer, you know? Like, people in different situations, it's like, okay, like my friend's in a car accident, I'm making the casseroles, I'm coming over and cleaning her house. Like that's your response. The freeze response: you take a bunch of Xanax, you just sit there, you're like, I can't deal with this, I can't deal with this, I can't deal with this. Now, the third response, we could make a case for this kid, is the flight response. I can't deal with this. I can't deal with this. I'm going to the concert, I can't deal with this. Maybe that's what he was doing, and maybe that's how it manifested. What do you guys think? Tell me what you think. And again, I'm not trying to pile on to this person. I'm just very, very interested in the psychology of this. I just think it's real. I think it's such a fascinating and rare case study in risk taking and also response, you know. And why can't we talk about it? Why can't we learn from it? Do we only have to learn from the Kardashians around here? No, I think we can do this in a respectful way. So, you know, when you look at the F3 response from that angle, maybe what he was doing, like, isn't crazy at all. I don't know. Maybe Cardi's wrong. What do you think? But I listen to a lot of, you know, true crime podcasts. I'm one of those. And I'm a white woman, of course. And my favorite part is always when they talk about how the killer reacted after the crime. You know, it's like, she was at the funeral acting like she was crying, hoo, 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 and no tears were coming out of her eyes. Like, that shit, it's fascinating to me. Because for me, that's always the tell. It's like, yeah, she was walking around the precinct joking and da-da-da, and that's when we knew she did it. She had a very atypical response. But, I don't know. Maybe it is true that everybody grieves in their own way. But let's talk about risk. I actually read this study today. It was so interesting and so weird that if you take this one specific drug, you are more likely, and by a large factor, to take more risks. What do you think that drug is? You're like, cocaine, meth, angel dust, right? Or maybe you're going the opposite direction. You're like, Xanax, because you're chilled out and you're like, all right, yeah, let's do this. Aspirin. It's acetaminophen. Can you believe this? So it was a study of 110 men, average age 19, and they did this experiment where you have to like pump up a balloon, and like if you can pump it up like, I don't know, a certain amount before it explodes. Like if you pump it up too much, it explodes, you don't get any money. It was kind of like that. It's like, almost like a carnival game. Inflating balloons give me great anxiety, but whatever. But they said that when they gave these people aspirin, they were much correlatively more likely to take more risks. Isn't that weird? And they don't know why. So it's interesting. And I thought, well, maybe they were all kind of, maybe they had a headache. You know, maybe their joints hurt or they were uncomfortable in a chair. And when they felt better, they're like, all right, I can think better. Like maybe it calmed some nerve reactions. I don't know. This really doesn't add up to anything. I just thought it was a really interesting study. I wanted to share it with you guys. This blows my mind. But let's talk about the concept of risk. And I'm going to do some more videos next week because it's my Montana-versary. It's my 3rd summer in Montana. And like I said at the beginning, I don't think of myself as a particularly like risky person because I don't bungee jump or skydive. I nothing like that. Like I am physically not risky. I don't ride a motorcycle, you know, no. I think because I have a big imagination, I don't know. And I can see bad outcomes, but I don't know. But then I think that I'm not, but then I do these macro risks. I moved to New York when I was 23 and I didn't know anyone. I was like, I'm gonna get a book deal. What, like it's hard? And I did. You know, I'll be on a TV show. I'll put my life out here, quit my corporate job to be a YouTuber, move to Montana. How the fuck did I do that? Well, I'm gonna explore this in a Montana series, not just a series about Montana, but how to make those big leaps, how to shift and just go for it. When is it smart? When is it actually not smart? And is there strategy behind my boldness and my risk taking? But until we get in there, because I don't want to muddy the waters too much, I can't have Montana and submarine in the same metadata and the algorithm's not gonna know what to do. So I want you to think of this video as kind of an appetizer and a amuse-bouche to a longer series next week about, taking big leaps. So the first thing I want you to do is analyze risk and courage, right? Also, realize there is no growth without risk. None. And there's no growth without courage. And Abraham Maslow, we know him, the Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? We talk about all the time, like at the bottom is food and shelter. What's the next one? You know, social inclusion. That's right. Do you know what's at the very tippy top, the little tippy top of that? Self-actualization. Self-actualization. It means I am doing what I was put on this earth to do. And listen, those things change. I mean, what you were put on this earth to do as a teenager is not what you were put on this earth to do when you're 45. You know, like that can change, but that's the point. You change with it. It's like, hey, when I'm a teenager, what I'm here to do is learn, diversify. I'm going to play sports. I'm going to do this. I'm going to get in the best fucking college. Great. You're self-actualized. In college, I'm going to figure out what I want to do with my life. Maybe not. Maybe I want to figure out what I like. In your 20s, I want to figure out the path of my career and I want to be very authentic about what that is. And I'm going to be risky and courageous in service of that. Okay? It is the fulfillment of potential. And that is rooted in people who consistently, not once, consistently choose the growth option over the fear option. The growth option, and listen, growth is painful. That's why it's called growing pains. Over the fear option. Fear is small. Think about when someone's afraid. What are they? They turn themselves into a little ball. Animals do this. You want to be as small as possible so no one sees you. So you're unnoticed. And the thing that is dangerous passes you by. Emotionally, same thing. You can get real small and things are going to pass you by. So that's something I want you to keep in mind. Leadership is risk in service of authenticity. And this is a phrase I came up with and I fucking love it. Leadership, being a leader, being popular, being a queen bee, being a hot ass bitch, doing hot bitch things. What is leadership? It's standing out on that ledge. It's saying, I'm gonna stand at the very tippy top of this pyramid and it's lonely at the top, but I'm doing this in service of authenticity. I am saying to my parents, I don't want to be a mechanical engineer. That's a risk. But I'm going to be a leader in my own life. I'm going to lead myself out of this engineering major and into architecture or rhetorical criticism or whatever in service of my own authenticity. That's a risk, but that's what makes a leader. Because what is a leader? They're out in front, aren't they? They're the first off that chopper in a battlefield. They're walking onto that stage in a crowd full of people. That's a risky move, but they're doing it because that's in service of their authenticity. So I want you to kind of let that message percolate a little bit, right? For our next series. Another way to think of self-actualization is that your life will not be complete unless you do X, Y, Z. Maybe that's have a baby. Maybe that's write a book. Maybe that's, go to Paris and go to the top of the Eiffel Tower. But it's important for you to come up with something. And maybe that sounds crazy, but you'd be surprised at how many people don't. I would say the vast majority of people never even pause to consider this. What makes my life complete? What do I need to feel like, okay, at the end of my life, I can look back and be like, yeah, I did that thing. I did that. It doesn't need to make sense to anyone else. And this is the overall concept of risk and courage. Everyone has their own parameters of this. So please don't feel like something that might be frightening to you, well, it's stupid. They're not afraid of it. Who fucking cares? Who cares? Who cares? Most people aren't afraid of lakes or cockroaches. I am. And so for me, it's a personal triumph if I can overcome that or deal with it. And it's also a personal triumph if I say, I don't want to deal with this or overcome it. I just want to be where it is not. Thank you. Not everything has to be overcome. That's okay. But you do need to consider, what am I missing in my life? How can I go after that? All right? Some fears are completely valid and normal. Just leave them in the fear pile. You don't need to conquer them. But then shift into the concept of, what should I be looking at overcoming? What do I need to import into my life that's a positive risk for a positive outcome? Also acknowledge that you choosing to be risky and courageous and go after something that fulfills your sense of authenticity, it's going to make some waves. It's going to make some waves. Oh, it's another ocean. I'm so sorry. I'm not doing this on purpose because I have a very limited vocabulary. All nautical terms, it is. It's going to make some waves, you know? I have seen this firsthand in my fitness and weight loss journey over the last 2 years. There's a lot of pushback. You're too thin. Don't post what you eat. You look anorexic. Shut the fuck up, Sharon. I'm making waves in your life. I'm not going to let you make waves in mine. Okay? Me disrupting the status quo is putting a light on your bad behavior. I'm not going to minimize myself so you don't feel quite as small. I'm going to be as big and as full and as loud and proud as I need to be. And if that disrupts you, that sounds like a you problem. I can tell you how to step into this light with me and turn your own volume up, but I'm not turning mine down. If I'm too bright, put on some sunglasses. Sorry about it. But the reason people do this, and I feel like we've been talking a lot about risk machines, and we're talking actually about it in a video coming out soon about scammers, is, humans are risk machines, and we are constantly looking for stability, because otherwise moving through life in this state of, I don't know who I can trust, I don't know what's safe, I don't know what's not, it's exhausting. We would die. Society runs on trust. Our individual lives run on trust. And trust means I can predict an outcome. Everything is, I got a good bead on it. And if you disrupt that machine, I'm quitting my major, I'm quitting my job, I'm leaving my husband, I'm moving to Montana. You're telling everyone else, actually, this machine can be disrupted for the better. And a lot of people don't like to hear that. So prepare yourself for the backlash. Prepare yourself for that. It's tough. It's those social inclusion needs. We feel like we've been kicked out of a tribe, don't we? Here's a quote that I love from an article on risk taking. It can become a disguised form of escape. Sometimes hanging in there or exercising creativity within the status quo is the better part of valor. That's interesting. Basically, sometimes running away from your problems, chronically starting over, a whole bunch of new business ideas that are getting you these yay-sayed results, they're just escapism. Sometimes it's actually better to stick it out. Stop burning down the house, just start cleaning it. Do you know people who chronically leave relationships when one little thing goes wrong? That shouldn't be applauded. It's no, you actually just can't stick it out. And not that you have to forever, but you should at least try. But it feels riskier in a bad way for them to stay and be vulnerable and open up. So they're nope, bye, can't do it, bye. Motion isn't necessarily progress. I think that's a really interesting phrase. Motion is not always progress. Sometimes staying put is progressive, And here I've been talking to you guys this whole video. It's move and change and grow. Sometimes that's not the answer. Sometimes that's too much. I'm a runner. I'm a traveler, right? Whenever my feelings are hurt, I'm let's book a ticket. I physically run from my problems, and kind of works, but it kind of doesn't. I'm gosh, I would really like a stable, healthy relationship in Montana. Okay, well, you have to kind of be here for that to happen. You have to go on dates. You have to prioritize that and stop fucking running. That being said, I think I'm going to Saint Tropez in a month, but Something to consider. All right, I think we've talked enough about this. I want you guys to just kind of meditate on these. And I'm actually going to leave you with a quote from Goethe. It's the philosopher that looks like it's spelled Goethe. Goethe. It's not, it's Goethe. He said, "Whatever you can do or dream you can, begin it. Boldness has a genius. Power has a magic into it." But he also said, "To put your ideas into action is the most difficult thing in the world." I love it. It's acknowledging this is difficult. This is heavy, big stuff that, again, most people don't ever consider. But we're not most people, are we? We're the exception. We're the 0.5 percenters. We're the queens, and we get to run shit. So I want you guys to spend some time meditating. What makes your life feel complete? Put it in the comments. Let's talk about it. And if you guys want to talk about it a little bit more in depth with me in particular, head on over to the Shallontourage, link down in the bio. Tell me what you think about the submarine thing. God almighty, there aren't enough prayers. What do you guys think? Tell me it all. I love you guys. See you later, Shalligators.